Hello and welcome back to Euro Football Daily, where today we're offering you another top 10, this time on 10 clubs who need to rebuild. Let's get started. 10. Fiorentina. Perhaps unsurprisingly, there will be a few teams in Serie A on this list, as they all try to find one way or another to topple Juventus. Whilst Fiorentina's ambitions might not reach that high quite yet, they still need to implement a short-term project that sees them re-establish themselves as challengers for the European spots. And it could be a big ask, considering they finished the 18-19 season with no wins in their last 14 fixtures, ending up just 3 points above the drop. But it's already been a year of change for La Viola, who are now under new ownership. After fans boycotted matches towards the end of last campaign, the Tuscany club was sold to American-Italian Rocco Commisso, whose first promise was that he would not sell wonderkid Federico Chiesa to Juventus. This will ensure that Fiorentina's fortunes turn around quickly and they don't become a club ripe for picking. With other young talent like Paul Larola and Nikola Milenkovic, head coach Vincenzo Montella certainly has the quality to restore the club to what they were under his previous tenure. The former Italy international led them to a 4th place finish in each of his 3 seasons at the helm between 2012 and 2015. If he can add more quality to his promising side, they'll hopefully be back there sooner rather than later. 9. Southampton. You could say Southampton are already in a rebuilding process. They sacked Mark Hughes almost a year ago now, replacing him with Ralph Hasenhüttl, a manager lauded as one of football's leading minds. But if you're enjoying this rundown from the leading football YouTube channel, don't forget to subscribe to it and hit that notification bell to never miss a video. 10 months down the line, it's clear there's still a long way to go for the Saints, who managed 4 top 8 finishes in a row from 2014 to 2017. Like a number of teams on this list, you look through their squad and see a number of players with big wages who simply don't feature anymore. 5 names, Carrillo, Elyounoussi, Forster, Hoot and Lamina cost Southampton a combined £75 million, but this season find themselves all out on loan with their parent club picking up most of the tab, if not all of it. The club has earned a reputation for developing talent and selling it on, but in the current climate they could afford to buy players who have already established themselves. Look at teams like West Ham and Leicester. There doesn't seem to be a reason Southampton can't push for players these sides go for, instead of settling for raw, unfinished products who may or may not turn out to be great. 8. Monaco. Most anticipated a downwards trend for Monaco following their historic 16-17 season, which saw the club beat PSG to the Ligue 1 crown and reach the Champions League semi-finals. But no one quite expected them to be in the situation they currently find themselves in. Put simply, Les Monégasques, who narrowly avoided relegation last season, look like they need a clean break. And that starts with the manager Leo Jardim. The Portuguese head coach first took charge in 2014 and was briefly replaced by Thierry Henry in the 18-19 season, but rejoined after the Frenchman's dismissal. The fact of the matter is there was a reason they let him go to begin with, and the Russian owners need to restart their project with the club. Selling stars like Kylian Mbappe, Benjamin Mendy and Bernardo Silva was inevitable, but Monaco have become more invested in their short-term future as opposed to their long-term vision. Cesc Fabregas, Adrien Silva and Islam Slimani are not players with a long-term future or a resale value. Monaco need to go back to what they became renowned for 4 or 5 years ago in order to see them move back up the league. 7. Hannover. In 18-19, no side lost more matches or conceded more goals in the Bundesliga than Hannover, with the season ending in their 2nd relegation in 3 years. This campaign they've also started slowly, winning just 3 of their opening 9 league matches and being knocked out of the Pokal. Just 8 years ago, Die Rotten finished 4th in the Bundesliga, just 5 points off 3rd place Bayern Munich. And the next season they put together a run that saw them reach the Europa League quarter-finals, where they lost to eventual champions Atletico Madrid. And this summer the Lower Saxony club reappointed Mirko Slomka as head coach, the man who gave them those European nights almost a decade ago. There has also been a lot of conflict between the board and the fan base over the past few years. President Martin Kind is looking to acquire 51% of Hannover 96, and has already seen one application to be exempt from Germany's 50+1 fan ownership rule turned down. This has seen him slightly scale back his investment of the club, something that will surely have contributed to their fall from grace. 6. Everton. Whilst one side of Merseyside is winning the Champions League and pushing possibly the best team to ever grace English football to the wire in the Premier League, the other half find themselves struggling to convince everyone they're the 7th best club in the country. Whilst Everton may not be too far off that, Marco Silva's squad struggle to find any form or consistency on the pitch and need to refine their operations in order to succeed. The average age of the Goodison Park lot is 27.1, which is actually middling for the Premier League, but this doesn't hide the number of ageing players they have rotting behind the scenes. Oumar Niasse, once their record signing, is 29 and featured just 5 times last season, whilst Cuca Martina is now the wrong side of 30 but didn't notch up a single minute. Their whole squad makeup leaves a lot to be desired as well, having too many similar players in forward areas but just 3 centre-backs. Silva could clear out the likes of Bernard, 27 years old, with just 4 goal contributions since joining in 2018, or even Theo Walcott, who doesn't have too dissimilar numbers. Doing this, promoting some youth and reinvesting in younger talents would at the very least make Everton a more appealing side to watch moving forward. 5. Hamburg. Up until 2018, Hamburg were the only club to have played in every single Bundesliga campaign, famously denoted by the clock in the corner of their stadium. However, now in the Zwei Bundesliga, they failed in their first attempt to bounce back to the German promised land, missing out in the playoffs to Union Berlin. And this extra season in Germany's second tier will only further exacerbate the club's financial problems. Hamburg need to cut back their spending massively, currently operating with debts of around 85 million euros. This is in part due to their poor transfer policy, which has seen them overpay for ageing, underperforming players like Barami, Giroud and Lasogga. Meanwhile, youth prospects are leaving for minimal fees, most notably Jan Vet Arp, who moved to Bayern Munich for just 3 million euros. The likes of Kerem Demirbay and Jonathan Tah also left on the cheap, and both are now capped for Die Mannschaft. Hamburg clearly have a very good academy, just shift some of their focus towards that and they'll very quickly reap the rewards and find themselves back in the Bundesliga. 4. Fenerbahce. For all intents and purposes, the 2018-19 season could not have gone any worse for Fenerbahce. The Istanbul club, briefly flirted with relegation, ultimately came 6th, their worst league finish since 1988, and won just 11 games, their third lowest total in Super League history dating back to 1959. And with their last title in 2014, this also marks just the second time they've ever gone 5 years without being named champions. When you take a look at the Yellow Canaries squad, you can see why there might be issues. They're captained by 39-year-old Emre, once of Inter Milan and Newcastle, have Adil Rami, now 34, at centre-back, and the ageing legs of Louis Gustavo shielding the defence. All of these are new arrivals at the Ulker Stadium, as is 31-year-old Max Kruse and Premier League journeyman Victor Moses. None of it makes any sense. And whilst we all know Turkish football is a bit hot-headed, it doesn't excuse Fener for having just one manager see out 2 seasons in the last decade, with Vitor Pereira, Dick Advocat and Philip Koku all failing there since 2015. We don't expect Fenerbahce to change their ways anytime soon, but let's be honest, they probably should. 3. AC Milan. AC Milan have needed a rebuild for some time, and you could argue they are currently in the process of one. After all, they finally got rid of seasoned veterans like Abate and Montolivo, and now the Rossoneri have just 7 players in their squad over the age of 26, 2 of whom are backup goalkeepers so will rarely feature anyway. But this rebuild extends far beyond what happens on the pitch. Their current owners are known as a vulture fund, effectively a company that swoops in to buy when an organisation is on its last legs, and therefore considerably cheaper. This only leads to further uncertainty as they now look to maximise the value of the club whilst lacking the relevant expertise before selling on for a major profit. But the reality is this makes the club a less attractive option for players and managers, with coach Marco Giampaolo coming in but already being shown the door by mid-October. And with Milan not having a manager see out 2 seasons at the San Siro since Max Allegri, maybe a bit of stability at boardroom level will filter down to the management and the players as they look to recreate their former glories. 2. Malaga. Wind the clock back to April 2013, Malaga were 2-1 up in the 90th minute away to Borussia Dortmund and on the verge of qualifying for the Champions League semi-finals. But 2 controversial goals later and they were out, whilst the 4th place that qualified them for Europe's elite competition remains their highest ever finish. Los Malaguistas had received Qatari investment in 2010 and established themselves as a top half La Liga club. But that initial success quickly disappeared when the owner stopped investing and they found themselves in a lot of debt. It peaked at 130 million euros in 2014, seeing the likes of Isco and Santi Cazorla leave the club for fees under their value. Back to 2019, Sheikh Abdullah Al Thani still owns the Andalusian club, but without any investment they were relegated to the second tier in 2018. They ended up failing in their first attempt to get back to La Liga last campaign. This season they find themselves second bottom after 11 games with just 1 victory. Malaga is a club that needs a real shake-up from top to bottom, otherwise they won't find themselves anywhere near the heights of 2013 anytime soon. 1. Roma. Italian football's nearly boys, Roma have finished as Serie A runners-up on 9 occasions since winning the Scudetto back in 2001. That's basically once every other season. However, in recent years they have carved out this reputation that, despite playing exciting football and more often than not getting the results, they are a team on the verge of ageing out. La Lupa's average age at the start of this campaign was 27.1, hardly helped by the likes of 33-year-old Edin Dzeko and Alexander Kolarov still playing a major part. And when you take into account their transfer policy, which has seen them sign a 31-year-old Kalinic, 30-year-old Mkhitaryan and Chris Smalling, who hits the big 3-0 next month, it's hard to see what their long-term plan is in Rome. The Giallorossi have hired Paolo Fonseca though, who at 46 is their youngest permanent manager since they appointed Luis Enrique back in 2011. Hopefully it's a move that will also see them gravitate towards younger talent. After all, they do have the likes of Kluivert, Under and Zaniolo, all under the age of 22, that have the potential to become superstars in the Italian capital. So that was our 10 clubs that need to rebuild in the upcoming seasons. What did you guys think of the list? Do you guys have any suggestions that we missed out? Let me know in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like it, leave a comment and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you next time.